12 News Hurricane Central is brought to you by A&A Electric, Market Basket, and Stan.
Last year's hurricane season was a very busy one with 17 named storms. 10 of those storms were hurricanes, 6 of those hurricanes were major, and 2 were Cat 5s. The names Irma, Maria, Nate, and Harvey have been retired, the most since the hyperactive season of 2005. 2017 ended up the costliest season for the U.S. with losses well in excess of $200 billion.
Harvey made landfall as a Category 4 hurricane near Rockport, then stalled over Texas for days, causing catastrophic flooding. More than 100 people died due to Harvey, 11 of them in southeast Texas, and tens of thousands had to be rescued. Over 300,000 structures and 1/2 million vehicles were damaged or destroyed. Harvey produced 3 days of torrential rainfall in southeast Texas, totaling over 50 inches, and caused more than $1 billion in damage in Jefferson County alone. On Tuesday, the 29th of August, Harvey dropped 26.03 inches of rainfall, the wettest day ever recorded in southeast Texas. Harvey broke the record as the wettest tropical cyclone on record, with many locations receiving a year's supply of rainfall within 5 days.
Preparation is the key. Your family should have a hurricane plan in place and a stocked hurricane supply kit. This special should reinforce the basic strategy of preparing for the next storm.
Welcome to the 12 News Hurricane Central. I'm 12 News Chief Meteorologist Patrick Vaughn.
And I'm meteorologist Jeff Gerber.
And I'm meteorologist Eric Brill. Many different factors are looked at when it comes to previewing a hurricane season. With the season now officially underway, what are some of the different elements or factors that you guys look at?
Eric, the hyperactive season of 2017 was caused by 2 factors, La Nina and above normal water temperatures in the Atlantic Basin. La Nina is below normal sea surface temperatures off the west coast of South America. This produced low wind shear and increased atmospheric instability over the Atlantic Basin, which then produced an environment for explosive development.
So if water temperature is a factor in the formation of hurricanes, what are the water temperatures right now? Currently, the western Gulf of Mexico and the northern half of the Caribbean Sea is running above average, while the eastern Gulf of Mexico and southern Caribbean Sea is slightly below average. What does this mean for us? Well, early in the season, we need to watch out for areas where temperatures are running above average. It's these areas that have a little bit better chance for some tropical development.
Colorado State University released their first forecast earlier this year and noted that this season up to this point is mirroring that of 1960, 1967, 1996, 2006, and 2011. Something that all those years have in common is that a storm did not strike southeast Texas in any of those years. Being prepared for a storm is something you should do in advance before a storm gets into the Gulf of Mexico. As we saw with Harvey, it can take quite a while to get supplies. Plus, it will save you the headache of waiting in line.
On any given year, Jefferson County has about a 4% chance of a named storm making landfall in the county. That could be a weak tropical storm like Cindy last season or a full-fledged hurricane. If you just look at hurricanes, Jefferson County has a 2% chance of seeing one make landfall over the county. And when you look at major hurricanes, that is storms at Category 3 or higher, chances drop even further. The southeast Texas coast has less than a 1% chance of seeing a major hurricane.
An interesting note from last year, remember the main effects from both Cindy and Harvey were when they were tropical storms, not hurricanes. On average, a hurricane strikes southeast Texas once every 11 years. The last time we saw hurricane-force winds was due to Ike back in 2008, where Searim State Park saw a gust to hurricane force. Prior to that, in 2005, all of the area saw hurricane-force winds sustained due to Hurricane Rita.
Going back to the forecast for this upcoming season, most forecasts that have already been put out for the upcoming Atlantic hurricane season are showing a slightly above average year ahead. This correlates with not only the sea surface water temperatures all throughout the Gulf of Mexico, but also with the tendency of the La Nina and El Nino pattern that is anticipated for this upcoming season. On average, there are 12 named storms during a given year. Of the 12 named storms, roughly half of those become hurricanes, and about half of those hurricanes become major hurricanes. A major hurricane has at least Category 3 strength, and sustained winds are at least 111 miles per hour.
If you look at last year, forecasters were calling for an average season in 2017. Unfortunately, that's not how it turned out. There were 17 named storms, 10 were hurricanes, and 6 were classified as major hurricanes, including Harvey.
Patrick, I know that one thing that you say is very crucial when it does come to hurricane season is where that high pressure is, how it steers the storms away from us. Where do you think is the best position for that high pressure to be?
For us to be protected from high pressure, it needs to be over Texas or the western Gulf of Mexico. If that high moves east over towards the southeastern U.S., maybe towards North Carolina, northern Georgia, that's when we need to watch. Later on the 12 News Hurricane Central, you'll find out more about the planes and the people that fly through the storm to keep you safe.
Up next, we will talk about the history-making storm that was Harvey through the eyes of a meteorologist.
But first, here's a list of the 2018 storm names. Did your name make the list?
News Hurricane Central is brought to you by A&A Electric, Market Basket, and Stan.
My family's ready for any emergency, thanks to STAN, the Southeast Texas Alerting Network.
I dialed 1-877-843-7826 and found out traffic had been diverted by an emergency and saved me a huge headache.
I registered my email and my cell phone so Stan lets me know what's going on, even if I'm out of town, so I can always be sure Mom gets to safety.
Be informed. Be ready. Register today at thestan.com.
At Market Basket, we bake fresh cookies, cakes, pies, and breads every day in the bakery deli with you in mind. We know it's not just cookies, it's a team party. It's not just a cake, it's someone's birthday celebration. And fresh baked breads mean a great family meal. I'm Amanda Flores, baker at Market Basket. If it's important to you, it's important to us. It's who we are.
Market Basket. Friendly people, fast service.
Wherever you are, whether you're ready or not, it's coming. With the power to change the way you live. So you don't have to change the way you live. Generac automatic standby generators. Control your power, control your life.
For sales, installation, and service, call A&A Electric in Beaumont at 842-4437.
Here at Golden Triangle Emergency Center, we make community outreach a priority. Our experienced staff is helpful, hardworking, and has a deep connection to the local communities. Our main focus is patient care and satisfaction, so you can be sure that you'll receive the best medical care possible. Golden Triangle Emergency Center sets the gold standard in emergency and community care in Southeast Texas.
Any accident, no matter how severe, is a frightening event, and Waldman Smallwood will always be there to help. We know your rights and will work hard to fight the insurance companies.
They was fair and honest, and they got good results back.
Was the ease of being able to get to someone and talk to an attorney, and Attorney Oxford was very eager to listen to what I was dealing with.
Waldman Smallwood, we are your injury lawyers.
The 12 News Now app is everything from breaking news to sports. You can watch every single newscast live. Get the latest weather forecast, traffic alerts, sports updates, and receive push alerts. The 12 News Now app, it's your pocket-sized tool to stay connected. Download it now through the App Store or Android Marketplace. 12 News, expect more.
12 News Hurricane Central is brought to you by A&A Electric, Market Basket, and Stan.
The 2017 hurricane season featured a new type of warning and watch. Storm surge warnings and watches were issued for the first time with Harvey. The first actual watch was issued from Port Mansfield to High Island, Texas on August 23rd.
Harvey was a storm that will not be forgotten in Texas. Whether you live near Corpus Christi or Port Aransas and experience Harvey's Category 4 hurricane force winds, or live right here in Southeast Texas where flooding of historic proportions occurred, Harvey was one for the record books.
Speaking of record books, the rainfall from Harvey in Nederland was the greatest rainfall total from a tropical storm in the United States. Over 5 feet of rain fell during the span of the storm. Portions of Nederland weren't the only locations in southeast Texas to see over 60 inches of rain, as Groves also saw over 60 inches of rain with Harvey as well.
Nearly all of Jefferson County received in excess of 40 inches of rainfall. The one thing that prevented the catastrophic flooding initially was that the nocturnal rainfall would slack off during the day. However, on August 29th, that didn't happen. This resulted in continuous rainfall throughout the day, with over 26 inches being recorded at Jack Brooks Regional Airport. This is when the catastrophic flooding occurred. Port Arthur, Fannett, Hampshire, Groves, and Kuntz all flooded. The unprecedented rainfall totals in Vidor, Bevel Oaks, Northwest Forest, Rose City, Lumberton, and Deweyville caused record flooding along many rivers and bayous.
One of the local rivers that saw record flooding was the Neches. Town Bluff's observation station between Jasper and Tyler counties had the 5th highest crest on record. In Evadale, the Neches River crested at the 2nd highest ever recorded. Beaumont had the highest crest in history at the saltwater barrier, as it almost doubled the previous record crest. Of course, the proximity of the saltwater barrier to where the Neches River and Pine Island Bayou intersect helped the river reach that level. And it also helped increase the flooding on the north side of Beaumont, as well as areas like Rose City, Pine Forest, and Lakeview. The Sabine River was another river that left its banks. Many homes that were flooded in March 2016 were unfortunately underwater again in areas like Deweyville, Orange, West Orange, and Bon Weir.
Rain totals all throughout southeast Texas were almost over 20 inches. The rain that fell in Newton, Jasper, and Tyler counties by default had to move into various rivers, bayous, canals, and streams. Since all this rain had to flow south, in addition to the rain that fell throughout the Golden Triangle, this water had to accumulate and add to those crests.
Storm surge from Harvey was never a concern for southeast Texas. Even when Harvey moved back into the Gulf of Mexico, the storm didn't have enough time to significantly re-intensify.
I think that one thing many people in some of the towns or cities further south don't realize is that there wasn't any sort of levee breach or impressive storm surge. Most of the flooding was indirectly from excessive rainfall or river, creek, and bayou flooding. Switching gears from numbers and stats, what is the one memorable image or video that you won't forget from Harvey?
I'll tell you, a lot of images come to mind when I think of Harvey. I remember Highway 124, a bunch of cows trying to get across the road as the rain was pouring down. They were going through the high water. It was just incredible to see them trying to move those cows across the roadway. Also, I remember boats being launched from parking lots and roadways where we should have had dozens of cars. We actually had dozens of boats trying to save people. I also remember the Bob Bauer Civic Center. We had a live crew there, and it started flooding right in front of them. All the people there, they were sitting there wondering what to do as the floodwaters came up.
I guess there's 3 images that I'll never forget from Harvey, and that was white caps on Interstate 10 near Winnie. Never seen anything like that. Also, the feeder bands rotating around Harvey, hour after hour of 4, 5, 6 inches of rainfall per hour. Just never seen anything like that. And I think the final thing was seeing a forecast model, the European, dropping 50 inches of rainfall. Just left me speechless.
There's definitely some memories that I'll never forget from Harvey. One of those is when Lance went back to his house. We had that Facebook Live going that he just orchestrated a couple of minutes beforehand. Dejanique Garrison, Vanessa Holmes, and myself, we were watching that go on live while we were on air, and seeing that really got to me and broke my heart to see Lance's whole entire house underwater, but he was still very optimistic about everything and telling everybody it was going to be okay. But knowing that he had feet of water in his house, that really struck a nerve when I saw that for the first time. Another image that really stood out to me, it's really not, it's more of a visual image than that of an actual image itself, was when Kevin Steele and myself were sitting at their anchor desk, and I call up Royden Ogletree while he was stuck on 69 287 96 on the highway right above Jimmy Johnson Boulevard, and he was stuck there because he didn't have the ability to go north or south on that road. Himself and Leah Durain had just came from the Bob Bauer Civic Center, and knowing that they were trapped right on top of that bridge there with nowhere to go, and just visualizing that in my head of how many different people in southeast Texas were experiencing that sort of flooding really got to me. Coming up, hear from some of the brave people who fly into hurricanes and find out what in the world is this.
Since the year 2000, southeast Texas has been through a number of tropical systems. Which one is the most memorable to you?
12 News Hurricane Central is brought to you by A&A Electric, Market Basket, and Stan.
Your story is all about decisions. Mobile Oil Credit Union is here for moments big and small. We make borrowing simple. And with a touch, Mobile Oil Credit Union makes big decisions easy. Right now, get a 2% rate discount on new personal loans for those big decisions. Plus, a Mobile Oil Credit Card for all of the decisions in between. From a new beginning to a storybook ending, your story is our story. Mobile Oil Credit Union. Investing in you.
$500,000 for the murder of
Hi, honey.
two sons stabbed.
Perfect timing. I just got out of the shower. Yeah, we had a really good day at the park. The kids are sound asleep. We really miss you when you're gone. Everything's all good. The alarm's set. Have a good night. Love you.
Rest easy knowing your family is secure with a monitored security system from Advanced Systems. We're A+ rated, locally owned, and can install or take over monitoring of your existing alarm. Call Advanced Systems today for your peace of mind.
Hello, I'm Phil Sanders. We're here every week with a timely Bible lesson in Search of the Lord's Way. Search is sponsored by several churches of Christ in the area who would love to have you visit one of their Bible classes and worship assemblies. Why don't you join us this week? I hope you will. And remember, we love you.
Join Phil Sanders in Search of the Lord's Way.
Toby Keith is coming to Beaumont's Outdoor Ford Pavilion Saturday, June 30th. You have a chance to win the ultimate date night, dinner for two at Woodfire Grill, 2 tickets to the show, and 2 backstage passes to meet country legend Toby Keith. All you need to do is register at any one of the 10 Coastal Welding Supply locations. To find one near you, visit coastalws.com. It's Toby Keith, live at the Ford Pavilion Saturday, June 30th. Register now at any Coastal Welding Supply location in Southeast Texas and Southwest Louisiana.
My family's ready for any emergency, thanks to STAN, the Southeast Texas Alerting Network.
I dialed 1-877-843-7826 and found out traffic had been diverted by an emergency and saved me a huge headache.
I registered my email and my cell phone, so Stan lets me know what's going on, even if I'm out of town, so I can always be sure Mom gets to safety.
Be informed. Be ready. Register today at thestand.com.
The all-new 12newsnow.com, powered by J5 Tractor, the #1 dealer in North America for Mahindra, the #1 selling tractor in the world.
Tonight, Fallon has Julie Bowen. And from NBC's This Is Us, Justin Hartley.
Yeah, baby.
Plus comedian Dov Davidoff and thank you notes.
Thank you, croutons, for letting me sneak an entire loaf of bread into my salad.
The Tonight Show.
12 News Hurricane Central is brought to you by A&A Electric, Market Basket, and Stan.
Our job as meteorologists is to keep you safe. We're able to do this by letting you know about different weather warnings as soon as we know about them. But we cannot do it on our own. Who helps us keep you safe? That title goes to the hunters. There is an old adage when it comes to house fires and firefighters. When you're running away from danger, they're running into it. The same can be said for some of the bravest hunters in the United States, the hurricane hunters. Why do you do what you do?
Save lives.
Simple and straightforward as that?
That's about as simple as it is. I got into it to become a pilot. Since I was a kid, I wanted to fly. And my career progression allowed me to be blessed to be able to come over into the Hurricane Hunters, and I've been with them 16 years.
Many members of the National Hurricane Center, as well as the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, mentioned how blessed or fortunate they were to have their position. The planes flying into hurricanes need to be heavy duty in order to stand the elements that are thrown at them.
We can go about 350 miles per hour. We fly through a hurricane at about 200 miles per hour, and that's because you could think of turbulence as a speed bump in the sky. And so if you go over a speed bump very fast, you feel it. If you go over a speed bump more slowly, it feels a lot less intense.
Believe it or not, the strong, powerful, and overwhelming storms aren't the ones that offer the roughest ride for hurricane hunters.
Once a storm is kind of stabilized at a certain intensity, there's not as much going on versus, say, a rapid intensification. Or the other thing that really causes us problems is if a storm starts to go over land, because some of the Caribbean islands especially have mountains in them. So even though we only fly the water side, the part that goes over the mountains, think of it like your bathtub, and where you make ripples on one side, the ripples go all the way across. Well, that's what's happening in a storm.
There is a lot of responsibility for the pilots during each mission. Besides making sure that the plane stays in one piece and continues to fly, she or he has to keep the crew safe.
We've got 2 pilots, a navigator, a weather officer, a drop zone officer.
A what? What in the world is a drop zone? Well, in short, it is arguably the most important weather instrument currently known. A drop zone measures weather variables in a tropical system such as wind speeds, humidity, temperature, wind direction, and pressure. What the drop zone officer will do is essentially load up the cannon that the device will go into and release it into the storm. This weather instrument has a parachute on it and will slowly fall through the sky. Keep in mind, of course, there are strong winds pushing this device as it falls through the storm, but the parachute allows for more data to be collected. The drop zone is able to collect new data every half a second. It usually takes at least 7 minutes for the drop zone to reach the water below, depending on what height it is disposed at. This means that over 800 different points of data are collected within each release. Most storms have 20 to 30 drops per flight. That is a lot of data that can be collected to help weather models. One thing that Chief Meteorologist Patrick Vaughn wanted to know:
there are 2 different types of Hurricane Hunter aircraft, one that goes in at around 10,000 feet, and then a second one that goes way up at about 40,000 feet. What is the purpose of these 2 different types of aircraft?
You need the 2 planes. So one of them is helping us at the upper levels, 40,000 feet, to get the environment. So what's the environment around the storm? Where's it going to steer to? Is it going to rapidly intensify? So you're kind of getting the environmental look at it. But at the same time, we need the storm. We need to know how strong the storm is. We need to know, is it stronger than previously thought, especially when it's far away from any sensors. That's all we got. So if you think about it, we still need the information in the storm and the surrounding the storm. And that's how we piece it together. Better models means better forecasting.
Creating the best and most accurate forecast possible is something that will continue to get better and better over time. With that said, it is still tough to pinpoint exactly where storms will go, but the ability to tell you, the public, further in advance continues to grow as well.
There's huge pressure to increase the lead times, but when you increase the lead times, you accept greater uncertainty in the forecast. And so if you go live with a new product that has greater lead times, but you're casting a larger net, if you will, you could inadvertently cause more evacuations, or you could run into the situation where someone looks at your product, makes a good decision, leaves, doesn't get impacted, and it says, I'm not going to look at this anymore.
Well, that is the last thing we want to happen. As hurricane season begins, have the necessary supplies ready well before the storm. Because if you try to run to the store just before a hurricane or a tropical storm, you'll be stuck waiting in line. The hurricane hunters have 10 different planes at their disposal. Aircraft 5307, which is what visited Southeast Texas, went through storms that hit Southeast Texas such as Rita and Ike.
Still ahead, we take a look back at the images from Harvey, from the devastating flood in Southeast Texas to the road to recovery.
Did you know that most deaths from tropical systems aren't from wind? Over 75% of the deaths from tropical cyclones are from either storm surge or flooding. Only 1 of every 9 deaths is either from wind or from tornadoes within a hurricane.
12 News Hurricane Central is brought to you by A&A Electric, Market Basket, and Stan.
This year, I finally got you. Our customers get free Slitterbond tickets when they save on any new vehicle. But y'all are the ones gonna get wet this year.
This May, get free Schlitterbahn tickets when you save on any new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram at Moore in Silsbee. Get Ram Crew Cabs from $31,100, Journeys from $17,200, and Jeeps from just $17,100.
Good job. You should have seen that coming.
prices and weekly sale prices too, like Kroger Water. A case is just $1.88.
Are you looking for qualified employees? You'll find them at the 12 News Job Fair, Thursday, July 19th at the MCM Elegante from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Brought to you in part by Philpott Motors. Collect applications, do initial screenings, or hold complete interviews. Each year, the 12 News Job Fair is flooded by over 1,000 applicants. Call 981-1516 to find out how you can be a part of the 12 News Job Fair on July 19th at the MCM Elegante. Reserve your booth today.
Harley, have the nightmare stopped yet?
Nowhere to run to, baby. He's still out there.
A debt needs to be paid, and then we can both be free.
He is going to keep coming after me until I stop it.
Well, it's going to be a beautiful sunny day today, and we can expect much more of the same over the next week.
Motorcycles are not invisible, but they can seem that way to drivers who aren't paying close attention. Look twice for motorcycles. There's a life riding on it.
12 News Hurricane Central is brought to you by A&A Electric, Market Basket, and Stan.
The first plane flown into a hurricane happened on a bet. In 1943, 2 members of the United States military flew into a Category 1 hurricane near Galveston. This mission was done on a bet with British pilots.
One resource that is simple to use and will keep you up to date this hurricane season is the 12 News Now app. While catastrophic flooding was occurring, numerous people in Southeast Texas used that app to get life-saving information. Even if the tropics are quiet, you can always check out our radar, view our SkyCam network, and get your local forecast. Plus, you can scroll down to get the latest news and sports right at your fingertips. And you can even watch a newscast live.
Many past hurricane seasons will be remembered in Southeast Texas. 2005 was from the winds of Rita, 2008 was from the storm surge of Ike, and in 2017, it will be the flooding due to Harvey.
Southeast Texas has experienced all a hurricane can throw our way. The reality is that we live in a vulnerable area. It isn't a matter of if we'll see another hurricane, but rather when we'll see another.
Being prepared for a hurricane before the storm threatens will make things go more smoothly. Do you have the proper insurance if your house receives wind damage? What happens if there's another storm with a threatening storm surge? Will you evacuate? Where will you go?
You'll be able to figure out the answers to those questions well before a storm is an issue for Southeast Texas. Make sure to have plenty of drinking water stockpiled and that there is at least a gallon of water per person per day for at least 3 days. Make copies of important paperwork and keep it dry and safe.
Have at least 3 days worth of non-perishable food per person. Keep phones charged. Turn the temperature down as cold as possible in your fridge and freezer.
Most importantly, keep an eye to 12 News as your Hurricane Central headquarters will keep you ahead of the storm. We leave you with a look at the most memorable moments from our coverage of Harvey. Stay safe and thanks so much for watching Southeast Texas.